we need to fundamentally reframe how we think about inflammation and aging. The conventional approach focuses on suppressing inflammation with anti-inflammatory drugs or supplements. But there's a more sophisticated understanding emerging: inflammation resolution. This is about how your body actively resolves inflammation, and this capacity declines with age in ways that matter enormously. Acute inflammation is beneficial and necessary. When you injure yourself or fight an infection, the inflammatory response is protective. The problem isn't inflammation itself. The problem is when inflammation doesn't properly resolve, leaving you in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation that drives aging and disease. Your body has specialized pro-resolving mediators, or SPMs, that actively end inflammation. These include lipoxins, resolvins, protectins, and marazins, all derived from omega-3 fatty acids. They're not simply anti-inflammatory. They actively promote the resolution process, clearing inflammatory cells, repairing tissue, and returning to homeostasis. As you age, production of these SPMs declines, and your capacity to resolve inflammation becomes impaired. This explains why chronic inflammation becomes such a problem with aging. It's not necessarily that you're generating more inflammation, though that's part of it. It's that you're less capable of resolving the inflammation you do generate. So even normal levels of inflammatory stimuli lead to persistent, unresolved inflammation. Here's where omega-3 fatty acids become critically important, but the details matter significantly. You need adequate EPA and DHA as substrates for SPM production. But the ratio matters. Some research suggests EPA might be particularly important for certain resolvins, while DHA is crucial for protectins and marazins. Most studies showing benefits use doses of 2 to 3 grams combined EPA and DHA daily, which is substantially higher than typical dietary intake. Aspirin has an interesting role here that many people don't know about. Low-dose aspirin triggers the production of aspirin-triggered lipoxins and resolvins. It essentially modifies COX enzymes to produce different products that promote resolution. This is separate from aspirin's antiplatelet effects. However, aspirin use has risks, particularly gastrointestinal bleeding, so this isn't a universal recommendation. Dietary patterns affect inflammation resolution capacity. Mediterranean diet patterns, rich in omega-3s and support SPM production. Avoiding excessive omega-6 fatty acids from seed oils is important because omega-6 and omega-3 compete for the same enzymes, and excessive omega-6 can impair omega-3 metabolism. Exercise has complex effects on inflammation resolution. Acute exercise actually creates transient inflammation, but it also triggers resolution mechanisms. Regular exercise improves your inflammation resolution capacity. However, excessive exercise without adequate recovery can overwhelm resolution capacity and lead to chronic inflammation. Stress management is crucial for inflammation resolution. Chronic stress activates inflammatory pathways and impairs resolution. This is mediated through cortisol effects, sympathetic nervous system activation, and direct effects on immune cell function. Here's a critical distinction that's often missed. You don't want to completely suppress inflammation. You want efficient resolution. Completely blocking inflammation with high-dose anti-inflammatory drugs can actually impair healing. You need that initial inflammatory response, followed by efficient resolution. The goal is rapid resolution, not suppression. Sleep is essential for inflammation resolution. During sleep, particularly deep sleep, resolution processes are most active. Sleep deprivation impairs SPM production and delays resolution. This is one mechanism by which chronic sleep deprivation contributes to chronic inflammation. The practical protocol focuses on supporting resolution capacity. Adequate omega-3 intake from fish oil or fatty fish, 2 to 3 grams EPA and DHA daily. Balanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratios in diet. Regular exercise with adequate recovery, stress management practices, consistent, adequate sleep, and dietary patterns rich in polyphenol that support resolution. Consider low-dose aspirin only under medical guidance given bleeding risks. This is fundamentally different from just suppressing inflammation. You're supporting your body's natural resolution mechanisms.